All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Black Bullion Show. This one is going to be spearheaded by Jeff Clark's article, Why Elon Musk Secretly Loves Silver. Now, before I get into it, I did a lot of research and digging for this one. So, before we begin, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help share this video to get this economic evangelism out there. Now, why is Jeff Clark setting his sights on Elon Musk? Well, in this article, I think he's particularly using Elon Musk as a general symbol for what's happening industrially and economically in the world today. And one person or some other people that he could also point to are politicians as well. You see, because political sentiment particularly on the left is very bullish for silver. Now you might ask, well, why is that? Well, because many of them espouse very green policies, for example. And even on the right, you have people such as Dan Crenshaw, who may not agree with everything that comes from the left side of the aisle. Obviously, he's a Republican from Texas, and he actually advocates for cleaner energy, but he advocates for it using nuclear energy. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But here's the thing, whether it's nuclear energy or whether it's wind or solar or what have you, both sides of the aisle have positions that are very bullish for silver. And also, we all know that what's happening industrially also impacts silver as well. Now, the only thing that could possibly be a burden on silver during these times is copper and aluminum, as they both serve the similar purpose. But the problem with copper and aluminum is that they aren't as effective as silver, and their quality isn't that great in a lot of these products that need that electroconductivity to get these products going. So let's take a look at just general electric generation that Jeff Clark shows in this article. So in 2017, here's the general distribution in a pie chart of energy in the globe. Obviously, coal is big, gas is big, hydro's big, but look at this, nuclear is big, and I'm going to get more to nuclear later. Wind is big, solar is just a little sliver, but solar is one of the industries that probably has the most growth to be expected by 2030. So pretty much within the next 10 years, we should see almost a triple of growth within the industry, within the solar industry. And again, it could be spearheaded primarily by the industrial side of things, but it could also be supported by political efforts. Now, let's take a look at some of these industries that are going to be particularly useful for the industrial side of silver. So I'm going to read a little bit this for you guys. So here's the silver demand and supply dynamics. So mine production constitutes over 85% of total silver supply in the market, followed by scrap supply. Unlike gold, silver has a much larger industrial application, with the metal being used for soldering and brazing alloys, batteries, dentistry, glass coatings, LED chips, medicine, nuclear reactors, photography, photovoltaic or solar energy, RFID chips for tracking parcels or shipments worldwide, semiconductors, touch screens, water purification, etc. Now, just reading all that, these are sectors that are just so wide ranging. I mean, even with one of these types of products, you could have a wide range of uses. So take a look at these RFID chips. Here it says they could be used for tracking parcels or for shipments worldwide. You know what they can also be used for tracking? People. Now, this is something that almost is somewhat dystopian to me, but this is happening right now as we speak. We have Swedes who have microchipped themselves essentially for payments, for getting into offices. I believe they're kind of rolling this out to see how popular it would be. But honestly, just the way the world is going now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more implantables happening with this RFID technology, which would mean, especially if this is going inside your body, you would want something that is of higher quality, not something that's of copper or aluminum within your body. You probably want something like silver in your body that's a little bit more of quality. So if that thing is probably, or if that kind of technology becomes popular, I wouldn't be surprised if the demand for silver would increase. Now, for me, I'm not putting that stuff in my body. I'm sorry. And, like I'm sorry. I'll go off the grid before I ever put anything like that inside my body. But that's just me. Okay. So that's just one use case for it. Let's also talk about the photo voltaic side of things. And I have a hard time saying that, but let's just say solar energy. Now, on the solar side of things, this market is a little bit different. Now, there is actually concern. Now, this is from Photovoltaic Magazine, so not a silver bug kind of magazine. They're just concerned with solar energy and solar products. They see gold or silver taking a slight dip and then recovering as far as demand is concerned. It's taking a slight dip within the mid 2020s and then rising again by 2030. One of the reasons for that is because they see technology becoming a lot more efficient, but also a lot smaller. So the amount of cells for a solar panel or for solar energy, all those panels will be reduced significantly. They even say having the amount of silver needed to make solar cells combined with fewer, more efficient modules will affect global demand for the commodity. But then they also mention that you can't forget the quality side of this of these products. Even here it says CRU's analysts state silver's unmatched electroconductive qualities mean there is a physical limit on the possibility of further reducing silver loadings in cell production as efficiency losses outweigh the benefits achieved from silver from cheaper raw materials such as copper or aluminum. Now, this is just within the solar energy side of things. So there could be a slight dip, but generally we have a trend line going upward. With this RFID technology, I honestly would probably see a trend line going upward as well. And whether or not we're going to more solar energy or nuclear energy, we're going to see an increase in demand for silver. So let's take a look at nuclear energy. Here is a little blurb from this article. The amount of silver in a reactor can vary, but the average reactor contains 20 individual rods, which amounted to about 56,000 ounces of silver for the industry just last year. This was written in 2019, so he's referring to 2018. So here's the trend line in general for global nuclear capacity. So take a look at that. It's looking like it's growing. So all signs point northward for all of these industries. Now, however, take a look at this. Towards the end of this article in Photovoltaic magazine, um, the World Bank, in a report published in May of 2019, the World Bank forecasts a significant drop in the silver price to $13.42 an ounce by 2030. Up to 2021, however, the commodity price is not expected to change by a great margin, according to the analysts, expected to close at $16.45 an ounce by 2021. The more significant decline in silver prices will come later, to a predicted $15.04 in 2025. Now, that should raise a lot of flags for all of us. So even though we're talking about demand, the World Bank is generally looking at the price in general. So I clicked on this hyperlink because I really want to see what, I really want to get to the bottom of that. Now, of course, there's a huge commodity. There's essentially an argument on the commodity side of things that the World Bank is making. But to sum up a caveat to their argument, here's what they said at the bottom. The World Bank stresses in its report that the projection is subject to effects of changing value of the US dollar or changes in geopolitics. So in that sense, as we have it right now, we have changes in Now, honestly, this was written in 2018. So this is before they could even imagine what we're going through and living through right now. So changes in geopolitics, essentially, we have a lot of uncertainty right now, and that impacts gold prices. We have a lot of economic uncertainty, health, and a lot of this has impacted economic data. That impacts the monetary and even fiscal side of things, but monetary coming from the Fed, and so on and so forth. That impacts the gold price. Also, that impacts the silver price. Remember, silver lags a little bit behind gold. So if we see gold going up, expect to see silver going up later on, because it's a tell. Now, we also should expect the US dollar to start coming down in value. As of right now, the US dollar, honestly, well, let's take a look at where it is right now. This is on Friday, April 24th. The US index, DXY, is at 100.23. So it's still relatively strong right now amongst or against other currencies, because other currencies likely are probably getting smacked around right now. But right now, relatively, it's pretty strong against those other currencies. Now, I expect that that after all of this monetary stimulus, all this fiscal stimulus gets thrown in, or it gets finished up, and we've increased the debt even more. You might have seen this in one of my prior videos, but the debt to GDP rate for the U.S. is expected to hit, by the end of 2020, 110%. Now, in that study that I showed you in that previous video, you know that if a country hits 90%, then they are essentially setting themselves up for low to slow growth. So if we have this low to slow growth, and then we have an inflationary or inflation essentially happening at the same time, the US dollar will not be looking good in that moment. So in my opinion, the World Bank was probably a little bit less, and remember, this is 2018. People were pretty positive about the market in 2018. In 2018, especially in May, and later on in 2018, they weren't so much. But earlier on in May, they were somewhat a little bit positive. So just think about that. Think about just take that into consideration when you're looking at what the World Bank has said about their projections of the silver price. Now, again, I will stress that there could be some competition with copper and aluminum as far as what will be used, because we know that there are going to be some companies that are going to want to cut corners and just put out any kind of product just so they can be in the field. But for those who are looking for quality, silver will stand out and shine above the rest. Now, um, let's take a look at what's happening in China. So every week, China, or at the this previous week, China essentially unloaded a certain amount of silver. This is in kilograms. So uh, in Shanghai, silver or China unloaded 11,482 kilograms of silver, and in their Shangju Wusong um, warehouse, and then also in their Sinotrans Eastern Hongqiao warehouse, they unloaded 29,089. So in total, 40,571, a little bit less than last week, but still they're unloading silver, and they just started unloading some gold as well. So they unloaded about 30 kilograms. Not that much, but still they've unloaded some. So that's pretty interesting to take note of. It's a little bit of a randomly small number, so that's pretty interesting as well. But all this to say, as far as silver is concerned, even though China got rid of some recently, they're probably looking for some liquidity. The general trend, the macro trend, is that we're going to see more demand. So let's take a look and finish up some of this information here. Industrial application accounts for about 56% of total silver demand. 56%. So we can only imagine that that's going to increase over time. Silver supply has witnessed volatility over the last 10 years, in line with demand conditions. Supply decreased from 2010 to 2013, mainly due to reduction in the supply of scrap. However, during this period, mine supply was continuously rising as companies tried to supply larger quantity to meet the booming demand from photovoltaic and take advantage of higher prices. Now remember, this sector may be offloading a little bit of their demand in the middle of the 2020s. Mine production dropped for the first time in 2016, driven by lower byproduct output from the lead, zinc, and gold sectors, as well as sharp decline from scrap supply to the market. Mine supply further reduced in 2017 and 2018 as the Guatemala High Court suspended the license of its largest Escobal mine and operational and maintenance disruptions in Canada. However, higher scrap supply and production in China and India did not lead to a sharp drop in total supply. At the same time, the investment demand for the metal decreased from 2016 with picked up in the economy and expectations of higher interest rates. Now, we all know that that's reversed. We have lower interest rates now, nominal interest rates. Though increased industrial demand led to almost stable demand levels in the last 3 years. So things are relatively stable as far as demand is concerned. Obviously, we had a little peak here, but I honestly see the investor side rising. So let's take a look over the last 3 years. 2016, industrial demand was 55%. Coins and bars, that's me and you, 20.3%. let's take a look. In the following year, coins and bars in 2017 dropped to 15.1%. Industrial demand grew to 58.7%. But take a look at this. 2018, coins and bars, me and you, grew to 17.5%. Industrial demand dropped. So there could be a little bit of a switcheroo happening. So as we see that in solar energy during that time, I would imagine that there could be more demand coming in from the coins and bar side, us smaller investors here and there. Even jewelry is slightly rising again. So this could switch up. Who knows? But I honestly think that we are going to see higher prices. Obviously, with the gold to silver ratio being as high as it is, I think we're going to see silver play catch up. I do think we're going to have a slight drawback in gold as well. And I think we're going to see a lower gold to silver ratio, especially by the end, probably within the next couple of months. We might see some differences in price. So as far as the demand is concerned, what Jeff Clark is pointing to here, what do you guys think? Do you think that politically, industrially, it's just a no-brainer that the gold price or that the silver price will increase? And as you guys know, you got to pay attention to the gold price to see where silver will go in the future. So thank you guys again for watching. This is Black Bullion. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. And thanks again.